Hey, collective. Welcome to day one of class. Well, not day one, but you know what I mean. Um, we're going to talk about a few things, but most importantly, I want to talk about um the roles that you may have signed up to be. Um, and as well, a need to almost detach from certain roles to see the bigger picture. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about this, right? We're gonna talk about what it is to be a healer. And a lot of people will claim to be a healer once they start reading cards, which is not that doesn't make you a healer. That makes you a card reader. Not a tarot card reader, but just a card reader. Because even now, like with just how tarot is read on the internet, that's not even actual tarot. Um Tarot is it goes way back. It goes back further than the committees, but the committees were solidifying it. That's why you get gypsies. This is where you get gypsies from. They came from Egypt. It's in the name. But they knew all these. All your nursery rhymes and things came from the committees, the gypsies, because they studied these laws because they knew how important it was. This all happened, then the Crusades happened, then all the information got dispersed and ripped apart, mistranslated on purpose, phonically fucked up with, uh, changed, categorized, personified to allow man to have more control over it. A bunch of bullshit happened. Um, but tarot, you can think of it as the world's first religion. Tarot is really just the study of life. Um, and that's a shocker to hear from people a lot because a lot of people really want to say that, oh, I'm a healer, but I read cards and I heal people that way. Yeah, you're not healing them with cards, though. It's the act of healing is energetic, not vocational, I guess I could say. Um, so whenever people start getting into the healer role, yeah, they'll usually start with divination because they first need to establish their connection with the divine. How does the divine speak to them? They need to be able to train themselves on it so they can get used to that environment, that energy. Um, and a lot of people get stuck on the card reading. Because that's with the Matrix and how it's going, and with tarot becoming a mainstream thing, unfortunately. I'm gonna say unfortunately, air quotes, the Matrix then gets have access to it. That's the whole thing why they made the tarot movie. And literally after that, a huge wave of readers started popping up. More and more people got interested in it. It's just been the Matrix is trying to do what the Matrix does. The Divine's letting it do it because it knows that it's going to happen for good as well. But people get stuck with the spiritual ego of believing that they are the umbrella term um for what they do. Now, if you look in history, if you look all the way back to native tribes, all the way back to Africa, when you had healers, they were shamans, they were mystics, they were leaders. They, in fact, were diviners. They had more power than the king and the queen. Real healers are leaders. They aren't just doing one thing, they do many. They divine, not just with cards. If you are dependent on cards to divine, you're not really connecting with the divine fully. um, I always say this, there's better ways to divine. You can read bones, you can throw sand, you can get shells, you can read rocks. Geomancy is a thing. There are better ways of doing divination than with tarot, because the way tarot has been made, and you can even, if you're conscious enough, you'll even see it, trust me. And if you read cards, pay attention because I'm really trying to open up your eyes here. When you read tarot cards, all you're doing is reading life. Those things that are happening are always happening. It is not the card that brings you the energy. It is the divine giving you the energy to use something to help you speak, because a lot of people who are readers, they can't channel as well. They have that boundary of fear where it's like I can't channel fully, or I don't trust to channel. I have to like listen for the divine. I need something visual there so I can fully understand what the divine's saying. There's a disconnect. And that's not to say anything good or bad. It's just super important to know what's going on, you know? And it's not to say that readers aren't always tapped in. If you take offense to this, check your ego, because we don't need a spiritual ego. Okay, sit down and put your Pampers on. Get ready. Okay? Love you. No, but really, there is a disconnect, there's a mistrust. Because if you were truly divining, you would be able to channel, you would be able to look at the clouds and just observe and be like, that's what's going to happen. That's the same thing like pirates did. They looked up into the sky, they did divining with the way the clouds in the sky would go. All of these things have existed way before tarot cards existed, way before any of that. Prayer and divination have been things that have been here forever. They weren't invented by the Europeans in the 1600s. I don't know who told you that, but that ain't it. Um, so it's very important to understand that. Now, let's say you are a reader and you're wanting to get a closer connection with the divine. Understand your energy. Okay, I'm gonna help. I really want to. I've always wanted to talk about this because it's really good. When you need to know your new energy, when you need to know your energy, when you need to know what you need to do for your tribe, because one thing that a lot of readers don't realize, or they do realize it but aren't sure how to move forward with it, is the people that you attract are your soul tribe on one degree or another. They have signed contracts to meet with your soul this lifetime for help. That means you also must evolve so your tribe may evolve. This is the truth of it. You cannot go to a healer who has not yet healed on the level that you need and expect that healing to work. You must be steps ahead. You have to walk alone. That's why it's lonely at the top. You know, being a leader equals isolation, things of that nature, because you need to embody, to experience. And it's not to say that you haven't experienced enough, but it's to truly delve deep into who you are, um, and realize that there is no difference because you have similar stories. I mean, if you can see it all the time with readers, they'll talk about a certain subject, and that certain subject has happened to them, you know, and that's something that they have either healed, are healing, still healing from, because healing journey never ends. They're either healing from it or they are currently going through it, and you can tell where they're at by the way they're reacting to the energy that they get from the cards. Um, One that is unhealed will be judgmental, and one that is healed will not be judgmental. Now, this it's varied and it's on a spectrum, okay? We're not worried about duality. That's a 3D matrix. Leave that. Come to actuality, leave reality in the past, okay? That shit don't exist no more. We want to go over here. Trust me. We want to evolve. We want to lift up. We want to be who we are supposed to be. Now, going into a healer, it's very important as well that if you are a healer, that you are constantly practicing that art on yourself. Because if you cannot feel it and or believe it, how do you expect someone else to? Yes, of course it might happen, but it's going to limit you, okay? It will put you in a cycle subconsciously where you believe that you are greater than you are, which is true, but you end up inadvertently beating yourself up over it by not trusting yourself enough to do it sooner. Um, Now that goes for any type of healing, because a healer doesn't just do one thing. A healer does a multitude of things. A healer needs to have connection to divine. A healer needs to know about herbs and quick solutions for things, to know about energy manipulation, crafting, witchcraft, magic, needs to know these things. And witchcraft is simply just working from the heart space. A witch is a powerful woman or the female energy, and we all know what crafting is. Crafting is to create. So to create from feminine energy is to create from the heart. We're all witches and warlocks. You have to get used to that. It doesn't matter if you're Christian. I mean, if you're, let's just get real with it. If you're one that is very religious, understand that the religious in the term of saying God as the Christian God or whoever, not Yeshua, but Jesus for you all. Um, you need to understand that the eating of flesh and drinking of blood is not light at all, honey. That's dark. You're eating flesh and you're drinking blood. It's symbolized that way, and you fully accept it, but it does something just doesn't click. I don't know. It's a thing that people are going to be aware of soon. When you go into a church, it's basically just a hoodoo reunion happening in front of you, and you're attached with the Holy Spirit from a man that a man has proclaimed is on you. So whatever God that man actually praises is on you, and if that version of God is the perturbed speech that he gives, then you are possessed by that entity. Um, that is why it's important to know what you're doing. Now, this isn't to say churches are bad or anything. It's good to get in contact with spirit because spirits are not good or bad. It is all depend on how you want to react to it. People always say, "No, there's bad spirits." No, there's not. You're a bad spirit. If so, like it all comes from you. It's all sourced from you. Everything happens out of love. It doesn't happen to you out of hate. If it feels that way, it's because something inside of you is restricting yourself from being totality, from being whole. Everyone wants to be one. No, you don't want to be one. You want to be full. If you're one, you're like not even half. You're just that one thing. And that's not what you are. You limit yourself so much. You have to open up your conscious and your horizons, and it's hard to whenever you've been indoctrinated you're if, and abused and told that it has to be this way, but that's the way the matrix is ran, is off of fear. Once you break these fear boundaries, the matrix no longer has a control over you. And that's one thing as healers that you must do is release yourself from judging things as good or bad, allowing the energy itself to tell you what's going on. Now, that doesn't mean not to tell someone, oh, there's like something on you and it's not the best. Use your discernment. It's about healing yourself and removing the boundaries of your mind so that you can precisely see without the ego interfering. Because your ego has its own way, its own terms it wants to live by, rather than the soul. When you operate off of true, authentic love, which I believe needs to be like the actual wording on the energetic chart, because love is not the strongest vibration. Stop saying that shit. You can fake love. You can fake that shit. How many of y'all have gone through fake love? How real did that feel? And see how fake it was? See how it tore you down? That doesn't make it the strongest. Authenticity does, because guess what? You gave authenticity. They did not. If they gave authenticity, it would have been stronger, but it was not. Only you were. That's why you were able to come out of these situations the way that you did, is because you were authentic. You did not fake. There's no, oh, well, I don't know why I went through all this kerfuffle. You know what I mean? So it should be true, authentic love instead of just love, because yes, it's both ways, but authenticity is always going to make things better. That's why you can't really fake fear. You can fake it till you make it, but then when you make it, then what? It's destroyed by Saturn, by time, because you created it. Mind created it. So these are just basic rules that we're governed under. If you really want to look at what planet is our god to study it, it's Saturn. We are controlled by Saturn, the element of water. We're made up of how much water? 98, whatever the fuck. We're made up of more than that. Um, because what is it? We are solid, angels are water, and the most high is gas, I believe. That's why angels can come down into human form. And what we're trying to do is get from the oh gosh. Crown going off. Excuse me on that one. But we're trying to lift from the solid to the liquid so we can become this liquid state so that we can turn into vapor when we need to, so we can just flow again and be who we are, so we can truly be conscious, is how I should say it. But it's important to know that. Anyway, back to the healing thing. Back to the healers. Healers are diviners. They are energetic manipulators, Reiki, Second, whatever you're doing, Quan Chi, like whatever, feng Shui even. You know what I mean? They know about the sonics. They know about frequencies. All of these things are shamans. Why? Like you can even look in honestly just in the music industry. Most people who are in the music industry are into the arts heavily because frequency. Once you understand frequency, you understand everything because that's everything is based off of frequency. Light waves, color, sound, the sights, objects, matter itself, how fast or slow it vibrates is on a frequency. Everything is simply frequency, and frequency is gauged by light. Angels are just angles of light. That is why when you see them, they are in a solid form. They can't be solid when they enter you. That's why the cups, the Ace of Cups, that's why it's there representing the divine giving you it. It's because it's literally the divine splitting itself up into the four elements so it can come into you. And it must turn into air, which then turns into light because light is just simply a reflection and a reflection happening. Like there is none other than light. You are the darkness moving through light. That is how it is. You are God. You are made up of the same entities, the same atoms, the same breath, the same words as God. There is no difference. The only thing that stops you from doing that is believing that with the Matrix because of just how religion is. There can only be one. No, there can be more than one. There is the Most High, and then there's the rest. But they all cooperate to create whole totality. It's not just one. Because if it was one, we'd all be under one way. We'd all go down one path. No one would turn anywhere. We would be just ants walking in a circle. That's how they want us to be, as one, so they can just keep funneling. That's not what it's working. So to put it bluntly, so we all know what's going on. Anyone that's saying become one is still stuck in the matrix. Don't listen to them. Like I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, if someone is saying you need to be one, they're somewhat stuck in a matrix. Don't listen to when they say be one. Understand that they mean be whole. They just are not conscious enough to say it that way. And yeah, they aren't. You have to say it that way. Yeah, jeez, man. Spirit's coming through. But this is a war on consciousness and being aware of what you say and what you know, because if you don't know who you are, how can you ever stand up? We are all healers. We're natural healers. In fact, like whenever you get a cut, doesn't it heal by itself? You innately know how to heal. We are all healers on our own, with all our own special gifts and talents, our own way of hearing the divine, our own way of defining things. But it is the ego or the mind, the rational part, the part that wants to split things up into a million pieces to make sense of it, is what makes it hard to really become one. Well, whole. Well, become one, become whole, really. It doesn't really matter on that one. But it's important to. I lost the train of thought. Hold on. Okay. They're taking me off of that path. All right, cool. But it's important that you practice your art. Whether, I mean, you can even, being a healer is also including being a teacher of some regard, like teaching people how to use energy and what to do. And maybe you see auras and you're one of like, oh my goodness, there's just so many paths that can go down. I'm getting tossed like a bunch. I'm getting like, oh my God, hold on. My leg is cramping. My whole body's like going under something right now. There's a lot of messages to get out. Right, we're human. Thank you, thank you. So on the path talking about frequency and healing. We are humans. Thank you, Spirit. Jesus, there's a lot going on. There was like a tornado that just went on. Um, but we are humans. Hueman. We are light. Um, Meaning, again, we are God. We are different tints and shades of God. We are hues. We all have an aura that we have, and we portray. And though that aura changes over time, especially with like, different moods and whatnot, we still portray off that color. That's our vibration. So when you limit yourself to wanting to say that you're one, you become monochrome. You don't really have much else other than that one thing, making it difficult. It restricts you in that way. When you realize that you're whole and you have your primaries, your secondaries, your tertiaries, and then however else, you realize that you have multiple gifts that all tie into one, which create, you know, the whole celestial bridge, rainbow, whatever you want to call it. But finding what you are, and it doesn't matter what color it is to you. It just matters that color is like your role, per se. You know what I mean? We'll take it that way. So when you figure out your role, like, oh, I'm supposed to be a healer, then understand that there are multiple colors that follow under healing, or multiple categories, multiple frequencies that you fulfill with healing. And that doesn't mean you have to do all of them, but being just one doesn't make you a healer. It makes you what you're doing. Understand? And this is how labels work with the Matrix. Um, you mean it's just how like you can look around. That's really how labels work, and that's why it's important not to label things, and why it's important to detach because you are more than what you will say you are. People will see more in you than you will see at times, and other times you know more than what you are, but yet since you're not doing those actions, you then don't take credibility or responsibility for who you are. Um, which is important to do. Moving forward with Earth, moving forward in the next years that we're having is really becoming more aware of who you are in the scheme of what role you play. Now, let's say you're not a healer. Let's say you just don't feel like you're a healer. You don't know what you're doing, but you know that the divine like talks to you. You are still a diviner in that sense. It might not be with cards, it might just be with channeling. So then you're a channeler. Now, channeling has vocally, you could have channeled writing, making channeled art, light language art, making channeled music, things of that nature. They all come down a list. There's the main umbrella, and then there's so many other things. And it's about not dimming your light. That's what people mean by don't dim your light. Like, really allow yourself to step into the full role of who you are and not just the partials of what you are. You know deep down who you are. And this is why you get, oh, I should do this, I should do that, but you don't follow through with those ideas. And it's this fear that keeps you back. It's this matrix fear of like, oh, I don't know if I can do that because yada 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 duality comes in and makes you think things are right and wrong and good and bad, which is unnecessary to say the least. Um, but some of you as well may be very talented in witchcraft, in spell crafting, and making spells and protecting in that sense. And that is still a healing role. So, like not some, I don't want to use the word summoning because that's not the right word. Invoking spirits. That's the right word. Thank you. Invoking spirits could be the way that you heal. You invoke energies into you to extrude out. Maybe not through Reiki, maybe it's just simply through your auric or just energetic pulses or however, but it's all these things that matter. Um, Getting back into your roots and not allowing the matrix to fool you and think that, oh, doing witchcraft is bad whenever they do witchcraft in churches. They do witchcraft in school. What do you think bullying is? That's a form of what mortals will call black magic, but in actuality, it's just energy manipulation, which is what all magic is, because we're all transmuters. Humans are trees in that sense. We take in and we output. But are we outputting the right thing? Are we intaking everything and outputting things that are useful and uplifting and giving life? Or are we intaking it and giving death back out? You know what I mean? And that's the important part. And that goes as far as saying, are you listening to information and accepting it, even though you might not mentally, egoically, I should say, agree with it because it doesn't make sense because you're trying to rationalize it? Or are you immediately saying no and making death of it? That's your choice. That's what's holding you back or pushing you forward, regardless. But declining everything that you get is not going to get you moving forward. That is stagnation. That is a fear-based, oh, I can't do this because XYZ, or it won't end good for me if I do those things. But that's not the case because, well, you've already been doing it. So to stop doing that will put you on the path that you were on before. Um, so it's important to realize that with magic, especially when you pray. This is something that prayers need. There needs to be talked about prayers. When you pray, it's not you begging; it's you demanding. It is your birthright to have on this realm. So when you pray, don't be like, oh, please give me this. Be like, I deserve this. I need this. Thank you for giving it to me. Thank you for all I have right now. You give thanks and then you say what you need. There's no need to beg. When a god does not need to beg. A goddess does not need to beg. They attract, they get, they obtain. And that is what we are, is we hold that energy. So be able to tap into that and demand what you want. It is not wrong to demand something. It is not wrong to say, no, I need this. It's not a wrong thing to do. That is what the Matrix wants you to believe. Oh, it's wrong to do that. It's a form of self love to demand something. It's a boundary that you set. I will not stand for this. What do I need to do to fix this? And it's about opening yourself up and receiving. When you pray, you're asking for an answer or a response will be given, and you must pay attention, be conscious, open up fully to receive. And when people receive an answer that they don't like, they'll end up saying, no, I don't want to do that, and they'll kill it. Instead of doing that, switch it to ask, why do I need to do this? Or, how can I do this? Or just accept it for what it is. Because when the divine gives you a plan, a way to move forward, it is very wise to move forward that way because they see things that you don't. Um, Goodness. We got a lot of Adrian up in here. But yeah, back to a healer. When you meet a healer, it's not that when you meet a healer, you'll know they're a healer. I'll leave it like that, actually. There's not really a way else to say it. Those who are true healers, you will see. And it's not because of one action, it is because of a continuous action that is split up many ways. It is because of the dimension of healing that's happening, not repeating the same story, not reading the same book with the same answers. It's about seeing depth. And it's not a bad thing to, you know, I don't know, like, I don't know why that weird projection keeps coming in. I'm just gonna ignore it because, like, whoever got that projection, they can deal with it. I ain't gonna explain it. That's on them because I always explain it. Um, Sorry, I had to look at an email I got, but it's very important to tap back into your roots at this time. Um, and that's kind of just I don't know. Sorry about that. I got like completely like sidetracked and spirit like took me on a little journey. Um, but they wanted me to go back to talking about humans in the spectrum. Um, but with humans, with HUE humans, um, understand that when people say that you have a tear in your aura, or when people say that there's a bit of your aura that's black, it's not because someone put something there. Now, subconsciously, you could be giving some person power to do that, but it just means that there is a part of you that is overshadowing that part of your aura because you are all colors in one until you protrude a certain color, then it's that main color. Our color is if we have a main color than the others. So whenever you have like a tear or a black spot in your aura, it's because there's an overshadowing. That doesn't necessarily, it doesn't always mean someone's doing something to you. Because as you being in your power, knowing who you are, no one should have control over you. You are living your life. No one should and or can have control over you. Even if someone puts a blockage on you, which that doesn't exist either. That's a matrix thing. When you leave the matrix, you realize that there are no blockages. There are just restrictions that you put on yourself that then other people pry on. No one can actually put a true blockage on you because you, as long as you evolve and grow and metamorphosize, you cannot be blocked. You cannot be stopped as you are ever changing, everlasting, ever growing. So as spirit, so as the soul. So understand that a lot of teachings come from this matrix minded self where the truth has been pushed under or like hidden um, to allow some sort of external control to like on. I don't know. It's jumbled energy to talk about, and they don't want me digging too deep on it because I could talk about this stuff like all day. But a lot of it is ran by the Matrix. A lot of the teachings um, are passed down from those who also have learned from the Matrix. And though that's useful, that was useful in the past, since we're in the age of Aquarius, it's time to get to the truth. It's time to move away. It's time to start new. It's time to start cultivating who you are and not allowing the fear of someone saying it's bad or not to stop you because then that in itself is like a matrix plot hole to like worrying about people's opinions is like a whole matrix, you know, I got you trick. So and this all this like goes back into just being a healer too, just being able to heal yourself. Um and also understanding that healers, though they can portray energy to heal, it is not their flesh that is healing you. It is the energy that you already have that they are manipulating to better circulate through you so that you loosen up, so that you stop restricting yourself, so that you release boundaries. It's all you. A healer cannot heal you for, again, if a horse is led to water, it's not going to drink if it doesn't want to drink. Same for people. If you do not want to heal, then you will not heal. If you do not come with an open mind, then your mind will stay shut. If you go to someone for healing purposes, then you are already subconsciously preparing yourself to heal. Now, what from? That depends. What you subconsciously already know will go to the healer. That's how they know what to talk about, how they know what to heal. This is how general readings are done for the collective, which general readings are really just the reader reading themselves in a perturbed way that is not only internalized but externalized to benefit both parties. That's the that is the best way that I could translate that. Um, that even goes for like channelers and stuff, like everything, everything can only be as good as open as the person receiving the energy is going to be. So if you receive a really good healing, yes, that person did what they did, but there's not a difference in the energy that they output towards you, towards someone else. It is the difference of how open you are to that healing. That's why it's important when you find Soul Tribe to keep contact with Soul Tribe, to allow that Soul Tribe like to use the same routines, medicines, to go to the same readers, to go to the same shamans all the time because they get your energy. They understand what part of them is you and how to relate and how to see how you act and then compare and then allow the divine to give them what they need to do. Same as a doctor, a doctor has to go and see all these diagrams of all these like things and stuff. Um, of the like surgeries and stuff, or like even watching surgery and stuff, just to get that feeling for it. So they almost desensitize themselves to it. And it's not about desensitizing, it's about really understanding the wisdom from it. And that's what healers, shamans do. Um, as well as remove, I don't really, I really do prefer the term like shamans instead of healers because a lot of, there's just a lot of convolution. Uh, that's being broken down. So there is going to just be like confusion with words, but understanding that, a true healer understands what they're doing. They're not someone to go boast around and be like, "Oh, I'm a healer, look at me." They know their responsibility. They understand, they see others for who they are. Even if you're like a soul reader, you're technically in that category because you're seeing what their soul needs. And that's what a lot of people who are on this incarnation are just doing, or they're just now stepping into the realm of healing because we all used to be healers in the past. We all used to have our own way of healing, whether it was with like with our foods, with herbs, with whatever. We all were healing. We were communities. We all healed the major issues that everyone had within, and it's about bringing that back. And we're doing that with the digital age, which is good. But we need to spread it out as well on the physical, not being afraid to live in your gifts, not being afraid to be who you are. Who cares if someone catches you doing Reiki practices or however, or energetic practices out in nature? Who cares if someone sees you reading, cards outside? Who cares if someone sees you doing like meditation or yoga outside? It doesn't matter. Allow these people to see it because your energy and what it's doing is seed planting because we're farm, we're a bunch of things. That's why you can't say you're just one thing, you're everything. So you can't say I'm just one thing. Like, okay, well then you're an ant. You're being controlled by the Matrix because you think you're one. You're all. You're everything. In fact, you wouldn't be here if you were one. If you were one, you would there wouldn't be a purpose for you. You would be had to be part of the all. Yet we're not individuals either. We're twin individuals. We're two. You're never alone. You have an invisible self that's always with you. I mean, even your cells. If your cells didn't like each other, they would just simply split apart and you would disintegrate. You wouldn't even like you would just literally not be here. Everything has to be in agreement. Everything has to be within a connection of love and healing, unless it would not exist. That's why things fall out like that. Things that are unhealed in you will portray externally onto other people as that energy is on you. Um, and we'll talk about more of that later. I wanted to do an intro, um, because we're gonna do something later tonight. That's gonna be a lot better than this. But I wanted to give like an intro for this, just to get the energy kind of swooped back into what we're about to do again. Um, and just a bit of what we're gonna talk about. Yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit more about healing and like different types of healing practices and stuff. But expect that later tonight, and we'll be back later tonight with all that. But hopefully this introduction got what it needed to get out. set the mood right because we're going to pile drive in for a while on this. Again, just really wanted to get the energy set because it's like it's something that yes, people are prepared for, but it's again the energy is going to be a lot different during these. So just wanted to prepare that. But I love you all so much. Everything's in the description. You all know the drill. Thank you all so much, genuinely, for all the likes, comments, shares, subscribes, donations, whether they are energetic or financial. I appreciate all of you to the moon and back tenfold and forever. But I will see you all later. Take care and keep an eye out for tonight because we're gonna dive right into it.